Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of the Let's All Lift show. I'm Brock in the gym. Today I'm going to talk about warming up. Warming up is super important because you decrease your risk of injury, you increase the mobility that you have in each movement, and I think a lot of people either skip a warm up and just go straight into their working sets, which is definitely a mistake, or they do this like huge drawn out warm up doing movements and modalities that aren't applicable to the exercise that they're about to do. And the best example of this would be like a running or sprinting session. So you can imagine if you're doing like max intensity sprints that you spend 20 minutes doing like high knees and butt kickers and A skips and B skips and like all that's very good. But I think, and a lot of athletes might tell you this, it's still going to take 3 or 4 sprints before they really feel warmed up and comfortable opening it up and doing a max effort sprint. And I think that same idea can be applied in the weight room. So let's take a back squat, for example. I may do a warm up that includes drop squats and includes like side lunges and forward lunges. I might even do a pre-squat run or a jump rope or something like that just to increase my heart rate, get my blood flowing. But even that first working set that I get into on a back squat after a warm up like that, I don't feel quite warmed up enough. And so I think we can take that same idea of exercise-based warm-up and bring that into the weight room. So let me say what I mean by that. Instead of doing this like huge drawn-out warm-up where I'm doing all these different movements that aren't squatting movements and then getting into a back squat, how about instead I just get my heart rate up a little and start back squatting? So let's imagine I have a day where I'm doing 5 sets of 5 reps, and those are all my working sets. I may do 5 sets of warm-up sets before I even get into my working sets. And in my experience, that actually helps me squat better and warms me up better than doing exercises and movements that aren't squats before getting into a squat. And the same thing applies to a bench press or really any other exercise. Before I get into a bench press, I could spend all my time doing, back warm-up stuff and shoulder warm-up stuff and all that's super important and it helps, but it's gonna take a few sets of a bench warm-up before I really feel comfortable opening it up on the bench as well. And I've actually started to do this. I got this idea from Will Rattel, and I've started to do this in some of my plyo programming. So instead of giving a set and rep prescription, like I used to do it where I would go like, okay, 5 sets of 4 box jumps. Instead, now how I'm doing it is I give my athletes a block of time where they can get as many or as few jumps in as they feel that they're warmed up and rested enough to get at a max level. And so that's not a conditioning thing. I want you to take the amount of rest that you need in order to do a max jump. And I think the athletes enjoy that better, at least from my experience, because like I'm talking about before with, a back squat or a sprint, if you're doing a box jump, let's say, it's gonna take you 4 or 5 jumps before you really feel comfortable opening it up. So why not just program that right into the training style? Because for each athlete, it's gonna be different. For somebody who maybe jumps more often, it's gonna take, a couple jumps before they're like, all right, I'm ready to go. But for somebody else, it might take 10 or 15 jumps before they really feel comfortable jumping up to the box. And so prescribing plyometrics like that gives the athlete the ability to know their own body, to feel whether or not they're warmed up, and to ramp up to 100% at their own pace. And I think that same paradigm can be applied into the weight room. And in my experience, warming up that way myself leads to way better working sets than if I were to do a warm-up that was more focused on like getting my heart rate up but isn't as movement specific. I still have to get into that movement and warm up a few times before I'm ready to do my working sets. So that's what I have for today on warm-ups. The big lesson is that I think if you have a certain movement, I think you're gonna be better served doing that movement as a core part of your warm-up rather than having some set rigid warm-up and then jumping straight into that movement where you're basically gonna be wasting working sets getting warmed up before you can really get to 100% on that exercise anyways. So that's all I got for today. Episode 4 of the Let's All Lift show. I'm Brock in the gym. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in episode 5.